Move to the basement, said my daughter-in-law after moving her father into my room. So I'd all stories started here. When you give your children everything, you never expect them to turn you into a burden. But the moment my daughter-in-law told me to move to the basement of my own house, I realized something had to change. And trust me, it did. I just didn't call who she expected me to. My name is Martha. I'm 63, a retired nurse, and a widow. My husband, Daniel, built our home with his own hands before he passed away 5 years ago. It was our dream, warm, quiet, surrounded by apple trees and memories. When my son Ryan married Clara, I thought life was giving me a daughter I never had. She was charming, polite, and always smiling. But smiles can be masks, and hers hid something darker. For the first 2 years, everything was fine. Ryan and Clara lived with me temporarily to save money. I cooked, cleaned, and even watched their newborn so Clara could rest. But once Ryan got a promotion, the tone of the house began to shift. Clara stopped helping in the kitchen. She criticized how I dressed, how I spoke, how I hovered too much around the baby. I tried to ignore it for Ryan's sake. He worked long hours and looked tired. He always said, "Mom, please don't start anything. Clara means well." But then one morning, Clara crossed the line. I woke up to find strange voices in the living room. Clara's father, a loud retired real estate agent named Peter, was sitting there with 2 suitcases. Clara beamed. "Mom, isn't this wonderful? Dad's moving in with us. He needs care and company." My stomach sank. "Where will he stay?" I asked carefully. Clara smiled sweetly. "In your room, of course. It's the only one with a private bathroom. You can move to the basement. It's cozy." Basement. The same basement where we kept tools, boxes, and an old water heater that rattled all night. I looked at Ryan, silently begging him to say something. He just rubbed his neck and muttered, "It's temporary, Mom. Please understand." That was the moment I stopped being heartbroken and started being strategic. That night, I went down to the basement with my blanket and phone. The air was damp, the single light flickered, and my back ached from the cold floor. But as I sat there listening to Peter laugh upstairs in my room, I made a call, not to my son, but to my lawyer. I said, "Mr. Lyle, I'd like to transfer the property." He hesitated. "To your son?" I replied, smiling for the first time that day. "No." Over the next week, I stayed quiet. I played my role, the obedient old woman living below ground, forgotten. But while they saw me as invisible, I was preparing something they never expected. I discovered Clara and Peter's plan when I overheard them one evening. They were in the kitchen whispering, "Once we convince Ryan to refinance the mortgage under his name, we'll get enough cash to remodel and finally sell this dump." Clara laughed softly. "Your place, my dad, Ryan's salary, it's all ours soon." My chest tightened, but not with fear, with satisfaction, because I had already transferred the ownership of the house, not to Ryan, but to the Harper Home Foundation, a nonprofit I'd set up under my late husband's name. I was still the director, meaning I could live there as a caretaker, but legally, the property no longer belonged to me or to them. It was protected. A week later, I invited them all for dinner. I cooked my husband's favorite, roasted chicken, apple pie, mashed potatoes. Clara was in a good mood. She just ordered new furniture for her room. Ryan seemed distant, and Peter bragged about how he planned to modernize this place. Halfway through dinner, I stood up. "I have an announcement," I said, smiling. "Since Peter is now enjoying my room, I figured I should make this house official legally." Clara's eyes sparkled. "Oh, that's great, Mom. You added Ryan to the deed?" I nodded slowly. "Something like that." I pulled a folder from my purse and placed it on the table. This house now belongs to the Harper Home Foundation, a charity that provides temporary housing for single mothers and retired caregivers. I'm the foundation's caretaker, which means I'll be living here under its protection. Clara's smile vanished. What? Ryan frowned. Mom, what do you mean? Why would you? I cut him off gently. Because, sweetheart, I'm tired of being treated like a guest in the home your father built. This way, no one can sell it, no one can claim it, and no one can move me to the basement again. Peter slammed his fork down. You can't just... Oh, but I can, I said softly. It's already done. Signed, notarized, and recorded. The color drained from Clara's face. You ruined everything, she shouted. No, dear, I said, standing tall. I saved everything from people who never valued it. Ryan sat silent, shock written across his face. He looked at Clara, then at me, realizing how blind he'd been. I'm sorry, Mom, he whispered. I turned to him with tired eyes. Love isn't about choosing sides, James. Then I caught myself. Ryan, but it is about respect, and yours was silent when I needed it most. Clara stormed upstairs, dragging Peter behind her. Within a month, they moved out, claiming they couldn't live in a house run by a charity. Ryan stayed for a while, helping me fix the basement and apologizing every chance he got. I forgave him, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't the same woman who cried in the basement. I had learned that silence is powerful when used wisely. 2 months later, I expanded the foundation. The house became a registered safe home for women leaving abusive families. The first tenant, a young nurse, cried when she saw the room that used to be mine. It feels safe here, she said. I smiled. It should. It was built by a man who believed home means love, not control. One evening, I got a call from Ryan. He said, Mom, Clara has been calling me nonstop. She says she made a mistake. I smiled to myself, watching the sunset paint the apple trees gold. Tell her, we all make mistakes. Some we move out of, and some we never recover from. After I hung up, I went to my husband's old chair and whispered, Daniel, you'd be proud. The house you built didn't become a prison. It became a promise. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of apple blossoms and quiet victory. Never underestimate the strength of a woman who's been told she doesn't belong. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's dignified, legal, and written on paper with a smile.